What's good, y'all? If you're a basketball fan, this is basically Christmas for you because it is Sweet 16 time, and four teams have punched their ticket to the Elite Eight. And among those teams are the Duke Blue Devils, and of course, the nationally favored Florida Gators. Now, we got to talk about what happened yesterday. We'll break it down a little bit, and we'll certainly talk about some prospects that are jumping out from a Raptors perspective. Namely, we'll talk about Knippel. I have been blown away by Knippel this entire run for Duke. I think he is just so much better than I initially thought. And just watching him game after game in these super high leverage moments, watching his scoring package, watching him, with his low center of gravity, bully guys to the rim, I'm starting to see a player that could really thrive at the NBA level potentially for the Raptors, especially when coupled with his incredible shooting, which, the numbers are off the charts. I mean, he might be one of the three best college shooters in the country. And we'll definitely talk about Khaman Maluach, Khaman Maluach, and certainly Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag had a big game. We'll talk about Derek Queen going home and just what went wrong for Maryland. The Terrapins have not been to the Final Four since, if I'm not mistaken, Juan Dixon, former Raptor Juan Dixon. So shout outs to that. We'll talk about Jace Richardson. We'll talk about Walter Clayton Jr. We'll talk about some of these, guards with some questionable measurements and questionable athleticism and see which one of them could pop from a Raptors perspective. Again, the Raptors don't have a second first round pick, but man, do I wish they did, because there's going to be a star picked in this draft between 15 and 30. I can feel it. And I have a feeling it's going to be a guard. Okay, so let's just talk about that. Before we get into that, and we will also talk about Taylor Jenkins getting fired in Memphis, Darko Rajakovic's former bench boss getting fired for his Finnish new assistant coach, and I'll let you know why the writing was on the wall, and I think that this actually makes the Memphis Grizzlies better, even though I have a lot of respect for Taylor Jenkins. Before we get into any of that, I have some very sobering news and some very sad news for this community. Y'all know him. He's called in before. We've talked about him a lot. Lars saying hello from Germany. Hello, Lars. How are you? Our bad news is that our friend Jason Watson lost his battle with cancer 12 days ago, March 16th. Jason passed away. I last heard from Jason on March 1st as he messaged me to ask how Penn Dance was going. Let me know, I wanted to come, but, something has happened. And apparently that something 15 days later led to Jason's passing. As you can see, there's a GoFundMe page for his family. I have linked it in the description. If you would like to support Jason, he does leave behind 2 children and his wife. If you would like to reach out to me, I can certainly, direct you to Jason's channel. Jason was a huge advocate for alternative treatments to cancer and, what big pharma is doing wrong. And he went deep down this rabbit hole in the last 2 years of his life. I'll tell you that I learned a lot from Jason. I appreciate the hell out of him. Despite all the horrible things that were happening to his body, I never felt a bad vibe from that dude. We talked many times. I did a video on his channel where he interviewed me about a lot of stuff, about life, about perseverance. You can certainly go check that out on his channel. I believe the videos are monetized. He racked up quite a following. Pepper Jack saying that's devastating. Prayers up for his family. Absolutely. Just a really good dude. And, one time, if y'all recall, a couple of years ago, he called in and he was in the hospital and a lot of people were trolling it. Like, what's this guy doing? Well, that was our introduction to Jason, and he's called in, super chatted, super stickered many times since then. So big prayers up to Jason, to his family. May you rest in peace, brother. And I hope the contributions that you've made to the world over the last 2 years with all of your research, all of your interviews, all of your advocacy for alternative treatments, that they do not fall on deaf ears, and that I hope that a lot of people, who followed him, his almost 6,000 subscribers on YouTube, gained a lot from learning about his fight, because he did not go down without a fight. This dude fought like hell, and, it's unfortunate. But yeah. Anyways, I will move off of that topic, and we will move over to March Madness. So before before any of that, the call-in link is in the description below. If you watch March Madness, if you watched, the Duke Blue Devils game yesterday, if you watched any of these games, feel free to call in. We can talk about it, what you saw, what I saw. But let's break it down. Let's start first with Yegor Demon and the BYU Cougars losing in ridiculous fashion against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And for Alabama, it was really, point guard Mark Sears, right? And a lot of people, this is probably the first player we have to talk about in terms of, undersized, some athletic vertical limitations, burst limitations, but just a hell of a player, and a hell of a shooter. He had 10 for 16 from three. The entire Crimson Tide team just could not miss. They went off. Okay. And they ended up shooting 49% from three. It wasn't just Mark Sears. It was also Chris Youngblood, his backcourt mate. And, off the bench, they got a 6 for 13 shooting performance from Aiden Holloway for 23 points. It was just, they say March Madness is about the guards, right? And perimeter players tend to thrive in college basketball. And that's largely due to how the court is constructed, how coaches, coach at that level. And typically the NBA is more of a wing league. Well, I think Mark Sears is a guy who's going to carve out a pretty good backup role in the NBA very soon. I think he's just been very impressed watching him. From the perspective of the Raptors, certainly earlier in the season, there was a lot of talk about Yegor Demon potentially being the best player in this draft class, largely due to his size, playmaking potential. People have compared him to a twitchier Josh Giddey. That is a common and very frequent, comparison. And for his draft stock, it's probably great to consider what Josh Giddey's doing, because if you watch the Lakers versus the Bulls last night, man, Lakers versus Bulls just become cinema. Every single time these two teams meet, it's just something amazing happens. And last night, in 6 seconds, the the Bulls hit 2 threes, and then Austin Reeves gets a go-ahead bucket, 4 seconds to go. And then with 3 seconds to go, Josh Giddey hits a half-court buzzer beater to end the game. That might have been one of the craziest games I think I've ever seen in my life. That might be that is up there with Tracy McGrady's, crazy run with Houston where he scored all those points. I can't against San Antonio, actually. It's just crazy how you do it. And it's also kind of interesting how LeBron had, 2 back-to-back blunders to give up those 6 points. One was a turnover, ironically, Josh Giddey. I think Giddey's been playing great defensively, but nevertheless, it's probably good for Yegor Demon that Josh Giddey's doing so well, because passing is something that translates in the NBA level. BYU is probably, if not statistically, the best corner shooting team in the league in terms of three-point shots. They did not get those shots today. They went under screens, or yesterday. They went under screens, and, they just didn't get the volume up. Yegor Demon had a nightmare shooting performance from three, did really well making some tough twos, but they just kind of got him off shorts, right? Trevin Nell went 2 for 9. Yegor Demon went 1 for 8. The jump shot just sort of evaporated. They covered it really well. I think Alabama's defense was just too much. And if you were, I was kind of expecting a bit of a run late. It just never came. It never came, and they just got smacked. Okay, going on to the next game, again, with a lot of Raptor implications, and that is Derek Queen and the Maryland Terrapins, fresh off of that crazy buzzer beater that he had in the round of 32, to put them in this place, going up against what a lot of people, at least prior to the tournament starting, viewed as the prohibitive favorites to win the national title, and that's the Florida Gators. And the Florida Gators are led by probably the best backcourt in the country and a very, very good big in Alex Condon, but they have a lot of depth. They're very well coached. They are an incredible team. And at this point, I have a hard time seeing how Duke is going to get past Florida. They're just so deep. They're so good, and their guard play is so incredible. And of course, that starts with Walter Clayton Jr. He didn't have a great shooting night by any means, but he controls tempo so well. We'll get deeper into Walter Clayton when we talk about Jace Richardson, but I thought he played really well. Derek Queen, he got to the line. He was physical, just didn't have enough help off the bench. They get 3 points off the bench. They're not a deep team. They didn't really have anywhere to go. They overplayed their starters, and that's just kind of where you get to, right? Julian Reese, his front court mate, he chips in with 12 points and 8 rebounds. But overall, I don't think Derek Queen was expected to carry the Maryland Terrapins past the Florida Gators. It was always going to be a long shot. I don't think he's done anything in terms of, impacting his draft stock very much. I think the game winner probably did more to help him than hurt him. I think a lot of people see him as a top 5 pick right now, and that could be good. That could be good for the Raptors because I'll tell you, as high as I am on Derek Queen as an offensive hub playmaker, I think his playmaking is super underrated. Talked about it many times. I think shot making might be underrated. A comparison to those of you who don't watch Derek Queen might be a bigger Julius Randle with a little more playmaking and a little less scoring upside. Maybe that's fair, right? Very physical player, throws his weight around. I still worry about him defensively, man. I got to tell you, active hands or not, hand-eye coordination or not, I still worry about him defensively, and this game did not give me good vibes defensively from him. Moving on to the game of, well, let's talk about this game first. Okay, now look, I have been a really, really big advocate for DJ Wagner, and this is purely biased. I loved his dad. DeJuan Wagner is one of my favorite college players. He played really close to home for me, Camden, New Jersey, and he was a local legend. When I was coming up, DeJuan Wagner was basically Allen Iverson 2.0. His NBA career didn't go as planned. So sometimes you have a fantasy that the son will do what the father couldn't do. And I was rooting for DJ Wagner. He's a little bit bigger than his dad. Came out very hyped, not quite to the level of his dad, but you kind of just hope, you kind of just pray. And last year for Kentucky, he was one of the worst, players, statistically, box plus minus, all that stuff that started. And this year he follows his coach over to Arkansas, and it's all the same. It's just the same. The shooting hasn't gotten better. The decision making hasn't gotten a hell of a lot better. The defensive concerns remain. And at this point, I think, I don't want to write off a prospect that was a 5-star recruit and quite hyped in high school. But at this point, it's just fair to say that all of the issues that were there in high school are still there right now, right? And it's just not going to work. I don't see a world in which he morphs himself into an NBA player unless he has like a real, crisis of conscience and he really reconstructs his game, because he's very ball dominant. And it was sort of interesting that Arkansas was up huge in the second half of this game. They were up 13. And then, the Texas Tech Red Raiders, they just got very physical. And, a lot of that starts with Darian Williams. I don't know if it's Darian Williams. I think it's Darian Williams. 20 points, 9 rebounds, including 3 offensive rebounds. I thought he was just so good. I mean, he didn't have a good shooting night. He shot 8 for 26, but he's been their bucket getter. He makes the go-ahead bucket to end regulation. He makes the winning bucket in overtime. I thought he was just too much to handle inside for them. I mean, they did a good job, obviously, from the efficiency perspective, but Federico off the bench, 9 rebounds in 13 minutes. He really, changed the complexion of the game in his limited minutes. And then, of course, JT Toppin, a player that a lot of people see as a late first-round pick. I think he could be a sleeper. One of the players that I would target if the Raptors do manage to acquire, another first rounder is him. He's very physical. The rebounding probably will translate. He flirted with the NBA draft last year when he was a freshman, very under recruited, coming out of high school. Don't even think was he even a 4-star recruit? I can't remember, but he was just incredible. Physically, 5 blocks, 9 rebounds. Again, he is relentless motor. And the free throw shooting has come along, right? Last year, a lot of concerns about free throw shooting. He's shooting like 56% last year. This year, it's just north of 70. He's not a good shooter. Even the limited 3-pointers that he makes and takes, it's not projecting out to be, Miles Turner at all. But he could shoot it at some point. And again, with this Raptors development staff, you got to look at players who are hard workers. You got to look at players who are smart, who have a good motor. And you just ask yourself, what can you do with this, right? Zigzag Puzzle saying Darko can fix him. Maybe. Derek Queen reminds me of Zach Randolph. I can certainly see why. He's a little bit heavy framed, right? 6'10", 250. I don't think he's quite the post scorer that Zach Randolph is, but he's just so much better as a passer at this stage. I really don't think, Derek Queen is being appropriately rated as a passer. His numbers do not do his passing justice, but nevertheless, uh, yes, Texas Tech pulls ahead, down 13. They still managed to win. They were favored to win this game by considerable margin, and they end up pulling it out. So you can argue that I think Arkansas just choked it away, but I don't know. The game of the night for a lot of people, and probably a lot of Raptor fans who are looking at this from a draft perspective, was clearly Duke versus Arizona. And I think first we got to talk about the Arizona Wildcats because I think they did a great job. And I'm going to say something that's a little bit polarizing and probably a little bit controversial. And I'm going to say that I think Arizona deserved to be given a little bit more respect by the referees than they were. I'm gonna be honest, like I think they got jobbed by the referees. Every single loose ball that I on replay would look over and it was off Duke, it went right to Duke. And it just happened over and over. The flagrant foul that happened, in the second half, where one player, I think it was Henry Vassar, gets pulled down, and it's just like it's the identical play that you just called a flagrant foul on the other end, and then you get it's a common foul. So it's pretty obvious to me that the NCAA is a business, and Cooper Flag is good for business, and Duke is good for business, and maybe Arizona wasn't good for business, and maybe the referees knew the assignment. It's often weird to say that this corruption. It's hard to. Let me put it this way. Sometimes mistakes happen from a referee perspective where you just missed it, right? But when it keeps happening in favor of the more marketable team, you really do have to question like what the hell is going on here, okay? And also, I need to pause this because I'm probably going to get a copyright flag for that bullshit that's playing off into the side there. Shit. The point here is that I genuinely think that Arizona played a great game. I think Caleb Love was unstoppable. Unstoppable. He made some crazy shots over Khaman, over, some very good defenders. He made a shot over Cooper Flag. I mean, they could not stop him. He was very efficient. I think he did a lot for his draft stock. He probably propelled himself into potentially, the second round, upper second round. Clearly a lot of deficiencies in terms of decision making, playmaking, etc. What is he at the next level? He's a little bit undersized, but scoring guards are a thing, man. Norman Powell is a thing, and he did a lot of Norman Powell stuff yesterday in terms of attacking the rim. He was very good. He was very good, and off the bench, is it Henri Visar? I think it's Henry Visar. Let me just be super North American about this and just, he's an Estonian player. I was blown away by him. Now, I looked him up and after the games, I'd watched him a few times, and just so athletic, really long, really positionally sound, showed a lot of toughness going up against Khaman Maluach and Cooper Flag, who are both like very NBA players and probably players who are going to carve out like significant NBA rotation minutes, and he held his own. Like he looked great. And so I am just really starting to think that he should declare for the draft. And, if the Raptors have a chance to draft him in the second round with that 40 plus pick, 40th, 41st, whatever it's going to be, that's a player I would certainly look at alongside, Rocco Zakarsky and a lot of the other bigs, Tomislav, Ivicic. Like there's a lot of like, I want to say, it's funny to say there's a lot of point guards, a lot of guards, a lot of wings, and a lot of centers that I'm excited about in this draft, because there's also a lot of power forwards that I'm excited about in this draft. It's positionally deep in all the right places. At the very, very top, you have like, in the mid lottery, upper lottery, you have two center prospects or power forward center prospects that are very intriguing. Actually, you have three in Khaman and Cooper. Cooper is more like a wing, but whatever. We can say he's a 3-4. Khaman, Cooper, in that rim protecting type. You have Derek Queen in terms of the big playmaking type. And then you have like Noah Senge in that stretch type. And you could definitely throw Asa Newell in there. And then deeper into the draft, like maybe in the second round, you have just a whole bunch of 7-footers with a lot of untapped potential that would blow, players like Brandon Carlson out of the water. And it's just it's very interesting that the Raptors will probably find their backup big of the future, not named Ulrich Shamshi. Obviously, I think Ulrich can probably morph more into a 4, but it would be interesting to see like which of those picks is going to be devoted to a big, because I'm getting a feeling that one of them will be. But it's interesting at the same time that would you go for size over the more polished player, because there's a lot of guards also that could fall right into that range, including the aforementioned Walter Clayton Jr., but also including the aforementioned Mark Sears, but also, Bennett Sertz, right? Who, for Drake has looked really good this year. So it'll be very interesting to see what they did. Let's talk about the Duke Blue Devils. Man, oh man. I mean, this was a tie game at 42-42. And then Cooper finds Con Knipple for a 3 above the break. Then Caleb Love comes down on the other end, takes a contested 3-pointer from NBA range, at which point leaving 7 seconds on the clock for Cooper Flagg to make the heroic buzzer beater to end the half from 3. Suddenly 42-42, and you're going into the half 48-42 because you lost your mind for 30 seconds. That was really stupid. And unfortunately, when you lose by 7, giving up 6 points in 30 seconds that were perfectly preventable, because Con Knipple was wide open and there's no reason that dude should ever be open. And Cooper was pretty much wide open and there's no reason he should be open. It just feels like they were ready to go into the half and the Duke Blue Devils were like, nah, let's get 6 more points. And that 6-point lead ballooned to like 13, 14, 15, 20. And it just felt like all the momentum just got zapped out of the air, and Arizona just really cost them. But yeah, they ended up making a comeback, and they made it very close, and they got jobbed by the referees. And maybe, in another world, this game goes to overtime because Caleb Love just pushes it to that level. But man, oh man, very impressive game from Cooper Flagg. Not afraid of the moment. 9 for 19, shooting 30 points. I think he had 18 in the first half. 7 assists, 6 rebounds. His passing is really underrated too. I won't go as far as to call him the best passer in the country. I do think that there are other passers better than him, but he's really good. And that connection that he has with Khaman Maluach is what makes me think Scotty Barnes and Khaman Maluach could be really good. Con Knipple, I'll say this. Before I talk about Con Knipple, let's talk about Zion James and Tyrese Proctor. Now, Tyrese Proctor's been on a heater, missed a few shots, wasn't quite himself in this game. 37 minutes and 7 points, but he didn't force it. Zion James obviously had a much better game, 3 for 4 from 3. He is very physical. I think he could be an NBA player too. I think their whole damn starting lineup is NBA players. Like all 5 of them are NBA players. I don't know, Tyrese Proctor more of a second round pick. Zion James probably like more of a second round pick. Con Knipple, Khaman Maluach, and Cooper Flagg are lottery picks. Like these are lottery talents. And let's talk about Con first. The shot making talent is so elite. Like he's not a shooter, guys. Like he's a scorer who can really shoot. Like his off the catch percentages are awesome, but his rim, finishes, his around the basket stuff, his physicality, his way to read angles. Like, is it a little Austin Reeves-ish? You know what I mean? Like, is it a little bit like that? I don't see Grady Dick at all. I want to tell you right now, like, his defense is better right now than Grady Dick. He's a better defender than Grady Dick right now. So, his craft is very interesting. Some people, say like you're very, very poor man's Luka Doncic. I see that. I see that a little bit, like it's a little 1-for-1, because he's a little pudgy, but he's strong, man. I ended up spending about an hour last night watching some of his high school tape. And this guy's just certified bucket getter. Like he just knows how to score. Like he understands all the angles. He is just crafty. He knows how to get you off balance. He's just really crafty with the ball. Can Con be better than Grady? 100% he can be better than Grady. 100% he can be better than Grady. I think he has a higher floor than Grady. I think maybe if you think about it from the perspective of if Grady puts it together, if Grady, gets stronger, if Grady, Grady's more vertically athletic, he's a little bit bigger. You could argue they're both pretty underrated playmakers. I think Con at the same level is probably slightly better as a shooter. He's a much better scorer than Grady. He's stronger than Grady. So maybe, in a weird way, I mean, Grady's shown some craft too. Like Grady, he's a great movement shooter. But they're both great movement shooters. So Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Very impressed with him. Our man, Khaman Maluach, the guy that I keep mocking to the Raptors over and over, and hoping and hoping and hoping for, him. We got FA waiting with the call in. Let me just get through this game, and we can bring you on. I appreciate you waiting. Uh, Khaman is extremely raw, and that's putting it lightly. Like, he is an extremely raw basketball player. You can see it that in his role, that functionally, like, he knows I go here, I pass the basketball, and then I cut, I wait for a lob, I wait for the tip in. His role is very, very limited at Duke, and for good reason, because he's much further behind in terms of basketball development than his teammates. He has been playing basketball since he was 13 years old. He's currently 18 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So from that perspective, I think that Kamban is doing a great job at what he's supposed to be doing, which is protecting the rim, which he does at an elite rate. He contests everything. He boxes out really well. He runs the court very well. He switches very well. I think he's great at changing directions. Like, a lot of big men have a load up time when they go from offense to defense, defense to offense. You know, just in terms of just the physics of being 7'1", 7'2", he's not supposed to be able to change ends quickly. He's not supposed to run the court the way that he does. The fact that he's so fluid, the fact that his touch around the basket is so great. How often is he, outmatched in terms of strength against his opponent? Because he's an 18-year-old who has a high center of gravity going up against, maybe a 21, 22-year-old who's been in the gym a lot longer and is just going to be able to push him off his spot. And he's still able to finish. He's able to finish through contact. I think he has a chance to be so good. And wait till the rest of it comes. Wait till the rest of it comes. Wait till the turnaround, mid-range pull-up stuff comes. Wait till, the off the dribble, one dribble, step backs come. That shit can come for him. At the same age, I say he's very, very close to Joel Embiid, and I'm not just comparing them both because they're African prospects, but largely because of the shooting upside, the athletic upside, the size, the mobility. He's just a little bit further behind. And I think, if I'm being honest, if the Raptors end up at 7 and he's there, I'm gonna have a really, really hard time holding a straight face if the Raptors pass up on him. I think the playmaking is getting better. I talked about it in the previous live that I think, watching some of his tape from the BAL, he makes a lot of rush decisions, maybe misses a lot of passes. He's just further, this is not a generational passer or, a big who's ever going to, hub your offense like Nikola Jokic. I don't think that's really his strength. And I don't think it has to be. He's more of a play finisher, but he's more of a bucket getter. He can be a scorer. I think give him give him to Darko, give him to Evo, give him to this development staff, give him Jama for 2 years, and I think you'll have like a player with significant all-star upside. So I I genuinely have a really hard time imagining that the Raptors can pass up on this kid. Just his defensive upside is so incredible. The fact that he can not only protect the rim the way that he does, the fact that he can switch ends the way that he does, which is going to really, really matter when you get faster and bigger and stronger in the NBA, against bigger competition. It really matters that your big can make it up and down the court. But then also, you consider his ability to actually switch out on the perimeter and maybe just use his length and learn how to use those advantages, you really could be talking about a first team all defense type of guy perennially forever. And his motor is very underrated. Like, I love how he vibes with his teammates. It's obvious from just watching the interactions that they really like him. They're looking for him all the time. Maroon Prince with the obvious comment here: you can't teach 7'2". No, you can't, and you also can't teach 7'7" wingspan. And I'll be very curious to see if he measures out because he's very young. He could easily be 7'3" with a 7'8" wingspan right now, and that'll just blow people away. Uh, is there a chance that he goes top 5? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, there's a chance. If they make a Final Four push and he has one big performance, we're talking one game where he gets a little outside of himself and he starts doing some of that self-creation stuff. If they get ahead, at some point, just He's obviously their fifth most skilled offensive player right now in their starting lineup, which is maybe overshadowing him a little bit. Uh, from the perspective of, how do you justify picking your guy seventh, who's the fifth or sixth option on his own team? But you just have to view this from a very, very optimistic upside perspective. Okay, let's bring on FA, who I'm sure has been watching some of these games. FA, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Long time.
Long time. What's up?
I'm good. I've been watching your lives and also just staying on the background watching the Raptors screwing up the tank. But hopefully they stay they stay with number seven and
I'll
we'll get
guarantee
a
you they
good.
win tonight.
They,
Guaranteed.
they're gonna win tonight. My fears is I don't want them to pass San Antonio Spurs. Because I know we're either gonna be seventh or eighth. And I was looking at your Twitter post on Khaman Maluach, and I think I agree with somebody posted something like that you just read. That he's likely not going to be there at seven, to be honest with you, because a lot of GMs, right? They're not great at scouting, so recency bias is going to be there, not because he doesn't deserve it, but because he's likely going to be the last one that they're going to see in the tournament going into the draft, right? And he's been balling. And I honestly, if I'm Raptors, I have number top four pick. I'll take him number four, number three, because
Wow.
yeah, because the upside, right? He's very, very raw, but the defense is already there. I literally had to watch and Joe Embiid in Kansas today, and you can see the similarities. Like I think the only negative on him is they're a great rebounder, but he has a very high basketball IQ that he gives a lot of people hockey rebounds, right? Pushes the ball to some other folks and things like that. And if you look at his hands, I think he has his the length of his hands is not really that. I think it's like I've forgotten the length, but this guy from Minnesota has like about an inch longer than his, but his is wider. So I guess that's why he's not really a great rebounder because he has small arms. But that said, the upside is like crazy.
Kaman has small hands, you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, see, the small hands thing, I think he has good hands,
He has
but he
good
has, but he,
hands,
but
right?
he has
But
small hands. But what's
yeah.
interesting is small hands do make shooting easier. And, the
Exactly,
clip,
exactly. I was gonna say that exactly. That's why. What's the name of this guy from Minnesota again? This French big man. That's why that
Singing?
one. No, Minnesota Timberwolves. The French
Oh,
big
Rudy
man.
Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, right? Rudy Gobert hands is like about an inch longer. That's why Gobert can really shoot, but Kamal Malas can really shoot the ball.
Well, I mean, one of the biggest hands in the NBA is Scotty Barnes, and we're
That's
seeing,
right. That
the complications with shooting, right? I
I
mean, the fact
agree.
that he's been north of like 85% free throw shooting lately is a very encouraging sign for his shooting upside. Very encouraging. You've never
And
seen
the
a bad shooter shoot 85% from the free throw line
and
for a
the
long
and
time.
the mid range too.
Exactly. So I think with Scotty, it'll come at some point. I mean, Kawhi figured it out. He has huge hands. He's a good shooter.
If
It's just
Pascal
harder.
can
It's harder.
if Pascal can shoot 40%, Pascal is averaging 40% right now.
Mhm.
There's hope.
For sure, there's hope. I mean, shit, there was a long period of time for the Raptors where Pascal Siakam was shooting below 20% from three, and people thought he was cooked. So,
Yeah.
it's about the type of threes you're taking. If you look at the threes that Pascal's taking, they're not a lot of step back,
hmm
self-generated, long threes, etc. Are there any other players that are really standing out to you? I'm assuming you're really plugged into March Madness, so you're watching a lot of these
Uh,
games.
I apart from March Madness, I've been watching the college basketball all season. Like I've been watching like all the top picks, right? Their games and been
Okay.
really plugging. So let me just go.
What do you think about Walter Clayton?
I like him, but if I'm going with my top picks, right? I like I want to go big. What a clay thing it would be good for a second round pick. And I'm glad you mentioned Walter Clayton, right? Because this year, if you look at the transfer portal, there are over 1,500 players in the transfer portal right now
That's crazy.
because of the NIL money, right? A lot of players they're gonna go back to college, so we're likely gonna get a senior player in the second round, which is not really bad, which is good, right? Because you're gonna get somebody that's ready to go, right? Walter
Hmm.
Clayton, if he continues playing well, because he can shoot the ball, right? 6'3". If he continues playing well, he might move into around the early 30 range. I know you mentioned Tyrese Porter, right? Tyrese Porter is likely gonna go late first round, the way he's shooting the ball,
Hmm.
or early second round. Because 2 years ago, when he wanted to come to the draft for, I think he was ranked like late first round. Then he decided to come back to college. He decided to go back to college. So we're gonna. Uh, I think we're likely gonna get a big. If we don't get a big in the first round, we're likely gonna get a big in the second round. And I like this guy from Stanford, Reynolds, that averaged 22 points or 21 points and 10 rebounds. I think he's the French guy, and he can
Hmm.
shoot he can shoot the tree. So they're gonna be great players, but good players. But I really, really want the top to be in the top four pick if possible, because they've played.
Is there like, okay, so your board right now, you were very, very high, if I recall correctly, on Ace
It's
Bailey.
good. Yes, I'm still high on him.
Okay. So
And
your board, as I understand it, probably, correct me if I'm wrong, is Cooper, Dylan, Ace. Come on.
you got that right. You just got that right. Yeah. And then if I go VJ, I'm not high on VJ. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not really high on VJ,
What
but
concerns you about VJ Edgecombe?
the height, the size, and also it's kind of tentative. It's not like that killer. I want to go. He did that in the Olympic qualifiers, right? But I watched him from the beginning of the season, when he was playing badly before he picked it up, right? And he's very athletic and everything, but he really can't break his man of the dribble. Those can be improved, and we understand that. But
His
I
rim
need
percentages are scary.
yeah,
Uh,
I need size. I really really need size right now for Toronto. If I'm not getting size, then I'm gonna go with Fiers or Trey Johnson with the microwave scorer.
I'm not really high on Trey Johnson, and right now I'm praying if the Raptors pick seventh that somebody picks them before, because I'll tell you right now, I did this shit on 2K yesterday. 2K25 was trying to do a Raptor simulation, and very often what would happen was the Raptors would fall from 7 to 8, and I would cry, and then
Mhm.
every single good player would be gone, and then at 8 I would be picking Trey Johnson or Jeremiah Fears. And very often I ended up going with Jeremiah Fears, even though I think Jeremiah Fears has a lot of questions. Namely, what does he do off the ball? Right.
Mhm.
Now, here's a name that is going to be playing today that that's really growing on me, and that's Jace Richardson. What do you think about him? Michigan State.
It's too small. I don't want him.
Too small. See, this
It's
is
not.
this is very very
It's not.
interesting. You know,
It's not my top 10.
it's a very interesting draft process that FA would run. If FA ran like a pre-draft combine, literally, if you under 6'5", get out, get out of the gym. We're looking for 6'6" or 7'2". If there's a 7'10" guy, bring him in. We need to take a look. Can he hit a jumper? Can he hit some free throws? Let's use this
the
guy.
the the league is going so big. Look at VJ Edgecombe. Everybody been screaming VJ Edgecombe, VJ Edgecombe, right? It's gonna be the third pick. It's gonna be the fourth pick, right? Until we watch him with Duke. Look at how they're taking him to the post, right? Cooper Flag taking him and scoring on him and everything. I keep hearing, no, he's a great defender, right? But in college, when you give him size, it's a different ball game entirely. He's
Okay, but
skinny.
but
He
but
doesn't
but I
have a
mean,
big
like,
build.
look at Jacoby. You know, he's 6'4", 6'4" and a half, 6'5", right?
Jacob is taller right now. He's grown. If you watch the last game, anytime he's out injured, he comes back bigger. He's taller and he's buffer, right?
I'm I'm
And
I'm gonna talk to his agent. I'm gonna talk to his agent or his trainer about that. Uh, Eric tells me he's 6'5". Okay, he measured in 6'4", so I'm a little torn, but
I
cool.
see him. Watch the picture with him and Scott is standing. You
But
can
hey,
tell he's
hey,
grown.
hey, with the hair, he's 6'8", so that's what matters. That's what matters. You know, it's the
And
defense and
okay,
the defensive
the
hair.
caveat to that is that when we talk about height, right, we got to talk more about wingspan too, right? Because you use your hand to defend.
For sure. He's he's
Six
got a
nine.
6'10" almost
Yes,
wingspan,
yeah.
and that's for sure. I mean, look at Casey Wallace though. But I mean, by this logic, was Casey Wallace undersized? He's 6'2" with a 6'8" wingspan. He's a little bit undersized. Lou Dort's a
Yeah,
little bit
but
undersized.
because
You know
what
what I
is
mean?
I'm playing a point guard, right? And for Raptors right now, okay, let me not shit on just Richardson, right? We have so many wings right now.
Mhm.
If I'm picking a wing, it has to be a different maker, or then if not, then one of those wings has to go.
Okay.
That's my
Well,
own
that
take. So
that's definitely gonna happen. Roster rebalancing has to happen. I
yes.
100% agree with that.
Mhm. I'm going for height. I'm not kidding. I am going for height. I rather take it's a new world than Jace Richardson.
Rather
So
take Ace and Noel over Jace Richardson.
yeah,
I can get
100%.
with that. I mean, I'd rather probably take Noah Senge over either. Uh, not a
No,
fan.
saying I like him. I like him. I like him. But he reminds me of maybe young Pascal kind of. I
He
like
does.
him, but yeah, I like him, but obviously it's gonna be
Yo,
a project. Most
young
of the players.
young Pascal with Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes is a cheat code. Like this is great. He runs the court. He could potentially, he blocks some shots, rebound. I don't know.
What don't you like about Ace Bailey?
Okay, so
And let me tell you what I like. Right, I like he has a very very high ceiling, and he he
yeah, of
has
course he has a high
defense
ceiling. He's
defense.
6'10",
Exactly. If you watch
so
the
his
video of
ceiling got
him,
to be at least 7 feet. You know what I mean?
the way he shoots over people, right? A lot of people keep complaining that he can't can create separation. Hello, you don't need separation where you can shoot over everybody.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
I feel if he wants to be, he could be the second best player in this draft. If nah, third. If he wants to be, he can be the third best player in this draft. I'm not putting him
Mhm.
over Dylan Harper, and I'm not putting him over Cooper Flag. But maybe his upside, in theory, is higher than Dylan Harper. Although I believe that he does not process the court anywhere near Dylan Harper. I don't think he gets to the paint as well as Dylan Harper. I don't think he finishes through contact the way Dylan Harper does. Maybe that's just a matter of physical development and basketball
Yes.
IQ acceleration, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, there's a world in which he is a Earl Clark or a very poor man's Michael Porter Jr. I reject
I
any
doubt
comparison to
it.
Kevin Durant. I
You know
reject
why?
any
You know why I
comparison.
doubt it? Because he has a very good basketball work ethic. Really, he works really, really hard. He has to get stronger for sure,
So how
right?
the hell did he
Eh,
shoot under 60% from the free throw line for half the season?
I'm glad you
Make it
mentioned
make
that,
sense.
right? Because I watched every single game that he played from the beginning to the end. Yeah,
Yeah, he
like I
barely gets
mean,
to the free throw line. And by the way,
it, it,
I
it, wa-
know that it was just a
it,
few games. It was a few games,
it
but
was
the
shooting,
numbers
it
are the
was
numbers.
shooting, it was shooting about 55%, right?
Hmm.
Then you notice that after every game, even in the opposite team's court, right?
Hmm.
Win or lose, he goes and continues working out late into the night. Then you can see the development, right? The trend. Then at one point he shot like 24 for 25 straight free throws. 24 25. That bumped him up to 70%. So the you look at the release and everything, right? I'm not worried about his shooting at all. It is obviously he gets hot and cold, but I'm not even talking about in scoring. The defensive upside is real. The shot blocking, the rebound. He started. I know when everybody was complaining that his BPM was like less than one or one point something. This guy ended the Big Ten with the highest BPM because of the other. He ended the Big Ten with the highest BPM because of the other things he started doing: blocking shots, rebounding. He's the best rebounder on the team. Rebounding, scoring. So he needs to be in the right team for him to succeed. And I think would be one of the best team for him. Imagine him getting passes from Scotty Barnes and just be catching and shoot while he develops his game. I see him like a young
But
T
don't,
Mac.
T-Mac, come on, man. The playmaking alone puts him out of T-Mac conversations. Like T-Mac
If
was an incredible passer. We're talking about a guy who had 30 assists on the entire season.
that team is horrible. If you count his potential assists, it's like five a game, right?
Oh
At the
God.
at the beginning, it was awful. He doesn't pass; he was just shooting, right? But later, I started passing, and they're all breaking the boys. What's the name of this guy? Nobody can shoot on that team. Even now, Dylan Harper that we're talking about. How many assists did Dylan Harper had? 4.5 assists. 4.5. That team is horrible. Like the team was terrible. Nobody can score. They literally had two players in that team.
Well,
The
you know,
if I if
here's
I'm
the
picking
question. Why
topic,
did
right?
you
I'm
choose that team? That's a great question. Why the hell did you choose that team? I can understand why
because
Dylan Harper chose that team because his brother played there.
money, sadly, NIL money, and they paid two of them money, the NIL money, and they ran out of money to buy to get other players. Period. End of story. And I think he looking back, right, he would have been better picking a different team. It was NIL money. That's why they picked the team. And that I was talking to a friend recently that that's the problem with what's going on with the NIL money. They need to do something, right? Because look at the SEC. Football teams are now becoming the best basketball team in the country. Auburn, Alabama, because those football teams they have the money. Look at
Hmm.
UNC right here. They can't even get the good player anymore because of money. This guy picked um BYU over UNC because of money. AJ Dimbaster. So look at how the football team. That's why ACC is the strongest conference. Football, basketball, because NIL money. Very soon now, you see schools like Harvard and schools that are not technically basketball team becoming great in basketball. So
I hear you.
yes,
To the person in the queue, we've had a lot of trolls lately. I don't feel like dealing with any more trolls. So Demaco, if you want to turn on your camera behind the scenes, the only person who would see your face is me for 1 second and wave to make sure you're a real person. If you don't want to
let
do
me
that,
let me turn on
oh
my camera
no,
so
no,
that
not
to be
no,
fair, to be fair to the,
you're funny.
yeah.
I'm talking to the other person. If you want to do that, you can. Otherwise, I'm sorry. Like I'm
If they turn
trying.
on the camera, bring them on. Let's have basketball conversation. Right? But I'm
Okay.
really excited with the draft, man. I'm not gonna lie to
Okay,
you.
we're gonna bring on Demaco. Demaco, what's up?
Hey man, what's going on?
What's good? Are you a troll?
No, I don't think so. What do
You
you
don't
consider a
think so?
troll?
You have to know the Marco. You can't say you don't think so. You're either one or not. I'm not a troll. I can say it.
No, I don't think I'm a troll. I was just here to talk draft.
Good, great.
Okay.
Let's
What
go.
what do you want to talk about?
I wanted to ask you like how you compare Derek Queen and Khaman Maluach as prospects.
I was going to talk
Because
about Derek Queen. I'm glad you said that. Let me take down if you don't mind, right? I love Derek Queen.
Yeah,
However, the
I just want to say one thing before you get launched.
sorry, good.
Fa Demaco, I could be wrong. I'll admit I could be wrong, but you sound a lot like the guy who called in 3 times last time and told me you love me 3 times. Like no, love is love to everybody and all that shit. I'm straight. I got a girlfriend. I'm not into trolls. You changing up your voice and all that stuff. I got a feeling like if it was like, I'm not trying to be like, rude or nothing, but if it was like, if it wasn't so obviously trolling, I would probably just be a lot more tolerant towards what you're doing. But you sound like the same guy, and I'm gonna trust my instincts and just say, I think it's you again. Please stop calling in. Appreciate that. Okay, cool. Fa, go ahead.
Uh, yeah, let me answer his question too. I know it's gone. Yeah, I like okay, let me say this, right? If we fall to number 8 and Derek Queen is there, I'm picking Derek Queen. I know the defense is. I'm not a big fan of his
That's
defense, right?
assuming Kaman's off the board.
Yes, 100%. Come on,
Okay.
it's not going to be there at 8. 100%. I can say this.
But we can't say this 100% FA because okay, so again,
I, re-
we we
I'm
we
ready.
we,
I'm
we
ready.
may disagree.
I'm ready to bet. I'm ready to bet.
You're ready to bet. Okay,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Sam Vecini just did his mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
He had come on going 8 or 9. NBA Draft Room has him going 13th or 14th. There's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of mock drafts that I've looked at that have him falling out of the top 10 because
Yeah.
there's and again, this wasn't earlier on. Earlier on, there was consensus that he was the top 7 pick. I think what scared teams off was him throwing up. And again, stupid, but that's what it is. People got scared off. If the Raptors, and I think that his camp would be very invested in him being here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because if I'm the Raptors and I'm having a conversation with Khaman's representatives, I'm gonna make it very, very simple for them. This is the best place for him. We have the
And
best development staff. We have a you know
go
what I mean?
ahead,
Like
sorry.
we have the greatest mentor for you in the league, who's actually at a stage in his life right now in Jakob Poeltl, who he's willing to mentor. We have Khaman's ex, NBA Africa Academy teammate over here in Ulrich, so he won't be so lonely up here, navigating a new country. Ulrich will be able to help him out. We have Masai Ujiri, who is, a legend, right, in all of the continent of Africa when it comes to basketball. We have Jama, who has those roots as well. When you consider all of the advantages here, if I'm Khaman's representatives, I'm pushing him to Toronto if Toronto's interested. We could develop the two parts of his game. Oh, we lost FA. We could develop the two parts of his game that honestly he is completely missing, which is the play. I don't want to say completely missing, but maybe furthest behind, which is the shot making. And we can also develop significantly his playmaking. And look at what we've done already with Orlando Robinson. This is the best Orlando Robinson's ever looked in the NBA. If we could do this with Orlando, right?
I'm glad you said that, right? Because he's represented by the same agent with Ulrich Clutch. And when Clutch wants somebody somewhere, right? They can head the player there.
This is it.
I literally had to look at it recently. That let me see who's this guy's agent. I was looking at all of their agents, right? And which of the Raptors players have the same agents with them. He has a Clutch.
This is a good sign, and I think, again, Clutch is a power broker. People who understand, how NBA politics works know that, okay, yeah, there's a rule that teams are allowed medical access to every player. They have to share that. They can't withhold that information. But if Clutch says, don't touch my guy, just don't touch him. He's not Cooper Flag, where teams are going to draft him anyway and burn their bridges with Clutch. The Raptors are in the right spot. It would explain, if the Raptors are super high on Khaman, it would also explain very much why Toronto doesn't seem to be all that concerned about the tanking. If this is already destined, if this is already preordained, if this is already like a done deal where, Clutch knows they're going to push Khaman to Toronto and Toronto knows they're going to select Khaman, and they don't think that any of the teams before them were in this range. Like, because obviously, if you think OKC might not OKC, if you think a team like San Antonio might jump you, well, they're going to jump you into the top 4. If you think a team like Chicago might jump you, they're going to jump you into the top 4, which means knocks you back to 8. So again, would one of those teams take him top 4? I don't think so. With the way Chicago likes to play, I don't think they're picking Khaman Maluach top 4, and I don't think San Antonio is necessarily picking Khaman top 4. And yeah, I'm rooting for Derek Queen to continue. I was rooting for him to do really, really well, because I think Brooklyn would really prefer Derek Queen. The way they like to play basketball, they prefer him over Khaman. I think they have so many shot blockers on their team. They already have Day'Ron Sharpe and Nick Claxton.
Philly would take Khaman.
Philly
with what's going on with Embiid, I think so.
You could be right. You could be right. That could be a place that.
Yeah, that's my biggest worry, to be honest with you. I've looked at all the teams above us. My only concern is Philly. Like you said, San Antonio, if they move up, they're going to top 4, right? They're not going to pick him top 4.
Okay. What's that draft? What's that site that you could do the draft, the mock draft on? Is it hold on, mock draft simulator NBA? Hang on. It's Fanspo. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna pull this up, and we're gonna do a mock draft right now. Let's do it.
Okay. I want you to you go first.
Why I gotta go first? I gotta pick the most obvious pick in NBA history. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Create a new lottery simulation. Got it. Okay. So we're gonna sim the lottery, and then we're gonna pick our players. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone can see this. Okay, cool. So 1, 2, 3, go. Please don't drop Toronto. Please don't drop Toronto. Please don't drop Toronto. Toronto drop. Fuck.
No, we stayed the same, right?
And Philly goes number 1. Never. I will never allow this to happen. We're simming it again. I demand a recount.
Oh my
What
goodness.
the fuck?
Philly, Philly number
No,
2.
I
Huh?
demand a recount again. I'm the worst. I won't do it as long as. Why did Philly just moved up 3 straight times? This site is rigged. I'm doing it again.
Yeah, but
I
they got 40% chance of moving to top 4. So they're likely not gonna pick fifth, period.
what?
Because they only
Th-
have 2.2. They
Yo,
only have 2.2% chance of
I will
picking fifth.
guarantee you, Fanspo is run by some asshole from Philadelphia. This is crazy. Philly
And I'm
moved
not
up
gonna
4
lie.
straight times.
I believe if I'm a betting man, I think Philly is gonna get the number 1 pick. Don't tell me the NBA. Don't, I'm not saying that it's rigged, but it's sometimes.
Again?
Yeah.
This is not right. This is not fair. This is not happening. How does a
Try one.
team that currently is 6th move up number 4? Thank God. Okay, finally. Okay, we got something we can work with. Okay, fine. As long as Philly doesn't move up. But I was really hoping that the Raptors would move up so Philly could move back and lose their pick. But sure. Okay, fine. Let's fucking go with this one. Okay, standard. Okay.
Let me pick for the Raptors. So let's whatever Raptors is picking, I want to be the one picking.
Sure. Okay. We're just gonna, you know what? We're not gonna rig it. So, okay. We're just gonna play rock paper scissors right now, and
Okay.
we're gonna see who picks first. Okay.
Okay.
You ready? Okay.
Yeah.
3. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Rock,
Rock,
paper, scissors. Damn it! We both picked. Okay. We got to work on the timing. Okay. Rock, papers, scissors. You trying to cheat? You trying to cheat? You waiting for me to go paper so you can go with your freaking.
There's a delay, so
Okay,
probably I'm advantaged by the.
okay, fine. You go first. You going first.
It's obvious, Cooper Flag.
Okay. Cooper goes number 1. I'm picking for the Utah Jazz at number 2. I got Lauri
Jeez,
Markkanen. I
I
got
hate the Jazz.
yeah. I got Lauri Markkanen. I got, Keontae George and a lot of questions in my backcourt. I'm clearly taking Dylan Harper here, and I'm praying to God that next year I'm going to get AJ Devonsa. Okay. Number 3, you on the plot?
The dad said doesn't want him to go to Utah. Then 9 later took it back.
Okay, number 3, you're on the clock for the Brooklyn Nets. Who you got?
Ace Bailey.
Oh, damn. Okay. The Brooklyn Nets take Ace Bailey. I'm going to tell you something. I think they might reach for Derek Queen here, but sure, this is your pick. You go there. I got the Washington Wizards at number 4. Oh, man. They just picked Alex Sarr. They got Bub Carrington. I'm going to have to go with VJ Edgecombe here. And
that's a good pick for them.
The reason I'm going with VJ Edgecombe is just because defense obviously seems to be the priority here. Pairing VJ plus Alex plus Bilal as a 2-3-4 is just such an athletic, long, young, exciting team. Pair him next to Jordan Poole. If Jordan Poole is a part of the future, probably not. But, we're going to go with VJ Edgecombe at number 4. And number 5 is on you, picking for your sort of hometown Charlotte Hornets. Who you got?
Oh, no. Jeez. Charlotte. I'll go with him. Khaman Maluach. Even though I want him in the Raptor, I'm being fair.
No, I appreciate you doing that.
They try to trade their big man, right? Recently to Lakers, so they're gonna. So that's another team that I need to be. We should be worried about picking him.
Yeah, I could see that. There are some questions around, Mark Williams' long-term health. I personally feel like they should probably pick Trey Johnson here, but cool, go there. So our guy goes off the board.
They need defense. They can't play defense to save their life.
I don't think they know that. Okay, so number 6, I'm picking for the Sixers. Okay, yeah, you're gonna fucking pick some like bum. No,
you gotta be fair. No hate,
no hate. We picking Sam Walters. This is gonna be your Bruno Caboclo moment, bro. Y'all
No.
going way off the board. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. The Sixers pick. Okay, the Sixers. What do they need? Well, they have shot making. They found a gem in Jared McCain last year. Why do I feel like they take Derek Queen here?
Yeah, I think so too.
Because Jeremiah Fears feels redundant. Con
With
Knipple feels like,
mm,
oh, it really does depend who their next coach is, doesn't it? I'm going to go with Derek Queen here. I'm just going to go with Derek Queen. And I'm going to leave you with a lot of tough question marks at number 7 for the Raptors.
jeez, this is tough, man.
Yep. And this is the nightmare situation for the Raptors because now you
I
got
am
a whole bunch of players on the board. And I got honest, I'm going to say
I
this right now. You could look at Colin Murray Boyles as the best player on the court right now, on the
no,
board right now.
I'm gonna go with SNU. I seem like Chris Bosh light in the making. He can rebound, he can score on the basket, he's young. Five-star recruit from played with Montverde. I'm going with him. SNU.
The fucked up thing is I can actually see this happening, but I hate
Yeah.
it. For the record, I think the players that I'd be looking at here, if it were my pick, which it's not because I lost rock paper scissors sadly, and the Raptors apparently cannot get a top 4 pick in this stupid ass draft. I would look at Colin Murray Boyles. I would
I,
look at
w-
Yegor Demon in this
I,
case. I
I
would
don't
look
like
at Jeremiah Fears.
I don't like Ego Demo. Heck no, never. I don't want him on the team.
He's a
If I'm
really good passer, man. He might be the best passer in the country. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I think I'd take Con Knipple here. I would take Con Knipple here, and I might just take him with the next pick. But
if I'm taking Kankanepa, I'm trading Grady Dick the next day.
I think they can play together. Okay. Okay. Next up, I got the Miami Heat. Miami feels like a Trey Johnson place. Could also feel like a Kaspar's place. Could also feel like a Jaeger Demon place. Shit. But I feel like okay, they pick Khalil Ware. They have Jaime Jaquez. They don't necessarily have like that dynamic shot creation guard. So I feel like this could be
Yes.
but this could also be Texas Longhorn country. I'm gonna go I'm gonna go with Trey Johnson here.
They already got this guy, right?
Okay, next up on the board for the San Antonio Spurs. This is an obvious as ass pick, man. It's very obvious who they're picking here, but who you got? Actually, it's not that obvious. There's 2 players, but who you got?
I'm gonna go with Kankanepa.
That's what I was thinking. It's going to be
Yeah.
between Khan and Kaspar's for them, and based on Stephon Castle last year, I
Devon
think this is
Castle, yeah.
good. Okay, next up we got the Portland Trailblazers, and they've got a lot of talent. They've got combo wings. They've got Scoot Henderson turning a corner. I'm very happy to see that. They got Danny Avdija on a cheap contract. They got possibly an extension coming up soon for Toumani Camara, who's about 24 years old right now. I feel like they are going to go with a player that they don't have on their. I'm going to go with Jaeger Demon here. They don't have this player. They don't have anything. So yeah, you got next with the Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls. I'll go with
Hometown kid.
Jeremiah Fears.
Really
No,
surprising.
no, 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 no. Hold on. They got 2 point guys. Hold on. I take the pick back.
They love point guards, but more
Yeah,
specifically, they love big point guards. They did pick Matas last year.
I go with KJ.
I think this is the smart pick, and
Yeah, I'll go with
also
KJ.
they're pairing Kasparis Yakuchonis with Matas Buzelis.
Yeah, I'll go with KJ.
Okay. Number 12, the Dallas Mavericks will select. I feel this is Jeremiah Fears.
Yes, with Kyrie.
Yeah. And number 13 for the Atlanta Hawks. This feels also pretty obvious to me.
I go with Colin Murray, boys.
That's the right pick. That's the
Yeah,
right pick. They already have Jalen Johnson. They love
yeah,
wings. They need
yeah,
defense around. This
yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Okay, number 14, we got the Houston Rockets. And they
They have,
have a disappointing rookie so far, although he has not played. Uh, in Reed Shepard, I could see them going Noah Senge here. I'm
yeah.
going Noah.
I got so many.
Okay, so that is our little mock here. I
Can you
hate.
screen? Can you screenshot this? I'm gonna
Yeah.
screenshot it.
Yeah. I mean, if this ends up being the actual draft order, I won't be that surprised. This is very realistic. And Country Kong saying so we selected Ace and Newell, not bad. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna hate it. I'm not gonna hate it. Uh there's another caller, Sasuke Achuha fan. Yeah, you know, turn on your camera. You're not getting on. I'm not letting in any more trolls, man. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would hate for the draft order to break down this way.
Me too.
Yeah. Sasuke, that was a hand. I need a face. I need a face. Okay. We need to see a face. So I need to put a face to the trolls if you are a troll. But if you're not a troll, you should have no issue putting on your camera. I've never seen a person who had an issue turning on their camera behind the scenes. If you have an issue with that, you obviously have a camera that works, then you know you could just stay. You could stay in the backstage. All right. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. Ace and Newell will be kind of disappointing to lose all year to get Ace and Newell. Maybe
He
I'm
has
maybe.
he has a very high upside. I was down on him recently, and I literally watched a lot of his videos, and they had
Could you see
a
him becoming an all-star? It's
possibly they had a documentary on him on CBS before the game last on Saturday, and it was pretty to watch. Yeah, I he has a very high upside.
okay. Let's
It reminds me of young Chris Bosh.
young Chris Bosh is high
Mm-hmm.
praise, man. Especially because
Cause
he's shooting
it's cause
29% from three.
yeah, but it's cause he has it's cause a lot around the rim. He can rebound really well.
No, he's a very productive freshman, you know, and he plays Georgia, so you know, pretty close to home for you. 9.6 box plus minus is very impressive. You know, 61% true shooting is decent, but given his play type, I would expect that to be a little bit higher. 29% from three, 75% from the free throw line, 14 rebounds per 100 possessions, 2 rebounds and 2 steals. Very, you know, just strikes me as very role player. Like I don't see star. I
So
could see.
what would you pick with all the players left on board?
Honestly, I like Colin Murray Boyles at number 7. If I'm going number 7, I was looking at
What's his
I was looking at Colin Murray Boyles or Con Knipple at 7. I could
his
look at
boss
Ace and Newell. I could look at Noah
his boss
Senge.
not like Scotty Barnes light?
Yeah, so the context around the team sucks, right? But I believe in best player available. I think Colin Murray Boyles is like impact level defender right now. You know, he could be like
I'll trade down to pick him.
we trade down to pick him, but like I actually would. Okay, so here's the crazy thing. I think a lot of people like really upsell the lottery, you know, talent in this draft, and you know, for good reason. There's a lot of really talented players, but I could really see a world in which maybe after pick 3, you're really batting on like crazy development for all these players.
What are your top three?
Uh, my third,
We know
uh,
your top two. So,
yeah, Sasuke Chuchua fan. Again, I don't care about your hand. I need to see your face, bro. Like the behind the scenes of this show is just nuts, man. It's a really weird shit going on. I'm not interested in you doing this shit to your thing. I'm not trying to, you know, verify that you are a human being. I know you're a human being. I need to verify your face. I need to see your face because that way we can ID it from our end, and then next time We don't have trolls coming on.
What's the big deal of turning on the face where you're the only one seeing it? Like, hello, you can turn on your
There's no big deal unless you have nefarious
exactly
intentions. That's when you don't want to show your
exactly
face.
turn on your face. Then you can turn it off when you come on. Yeah, okay.
Anyways, yeah. So my top three, it's
Give me your top.
interesting.
Give me your top five.
So my number one is obviously Cooper.
Yes.
Number two is Dylan.
Mhm.
And then it's like the third one is just like it's really, really, really far. Like it's a big gap between those guys. And I'm inclined to say my third, in terms of just prospects that I feel very comfortable with, might actually be Khaman.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Right? I'm struggling between taking command or ace three. I can easily go for command, to be honest with you, based on our needs right now. But
Well, after two, again, the drop off is enormous, right? Like
I I
it's
I
big,
I,
big,
I
big.
don't I don't think so. I don't think everybody likes Dylan. Right? I watch him all year.
He's so advanced, man, with the
He,
basketball, his
yeah, because
paint touches.
he's been playing for years with he's been all around basketball with his dad, right? But the he has a very high floor, but I think it really has a higher ceiling.
Make the argument for Ace Bailey without talking 6'10". You can't. He's a really good
Bl-
shooter. I like his form.
He can block.
I hate his shot profile. I hate how he reads the court. I hate how many tough shots he makes. I'm not as thrilled about his defense as you
He's
might be. I
a,
think Colin Moore was way better as a defender.
he's a one.
At
He has a. I said that's why I said defensive potential. He
what
can
does he
guard
do?
one.
What is he?
He can
Okay,
guard. He can
maybe
guard
put it
one. He
this
can
way.
guard one
What
one
does
on
he do
one really
better?
well.
What does he do better than Con Knipple? What
Better defense.
singular basketball skill does he have? Is he have a better handle? Is he a better
Yeah,
shooter? Is he
he
a
has
better?
a. He has better defense and he can block hmm, and rebounding.
Is he a better rebounder than Con Knipple by
Yes,
the numbers? Hmm.
the best rebounder on the team.
Is he the best rebounder on that team?
Yeah.
That's sad. That's why they're so cooked. Okay. Per 100 possessions, let's see here. 12.4 rebounds is nuts for a wing player. So I'll give you that. Do you project him as a small ball four?
I
Or
think
do you,
I would like him as a small forward or small ball four. Depends. He has to grow into his body too.
so he's definitely not their best rebounder, by the way. He's the
Who's
second
the
best rebounder. Their
who's
best
the best rebounder?
rebounder,
Somerville.
Somerville is really close. It's actually Emmanuel Ogbole is their best
Oh,
rebounder.
Bullet
Not
sucks.
like by a wide margin. He's averaging 16.2 rebounds per 100 possession. But I'll say this: 12 rebounds for a wing or a guard is insane, and that just points to just the physical advantages that he has at that level.
Mm-hmm.
But using that size at that level, you should be a lot more productive than he was.
The kid is just 18. People don't. It's not a complete product. The upside is what I'm looking. Put him in Daco's system with the training, right? And I think he's really lucky that that they got knocked out of the tournament because that gives him enough time to work out before the before before Chicago, whatever they call it again, right? So his draft workout is going to help him a lot. We'll decide where he falls.
It could, like Scotty took a huge jump from Florida State
I was
end of
gonna say
season
that.
to. So if he takes a big step, the Raptors might just be like, wow, this is too much to pass up on. If they end up at the fourth pick, picking between him and Kaman, if they're both on the board, will be tough. I
And
could
all the
see a
times that
world
Masai was scouting that team, who was he scouting? Was it both of them or
with
just one?
With Sean Marks. They were both there at Rutgers to
Yeah.
watch both of them. Look, I could, weirdly enough, if people are worried enough about the analytics, I mean, there's a lot of GMs picking ahead of us that are very analytically driven. Ace Bailey's analytics suck. They're very bad. His He has a lot more questions than Brandon Miller at the same. I don't want to say at the same age because Brandon Miller was a little bit
Brandon was
older,
older. He was older.
but at the same stage of their career, they both. I think they both had questions. I think Ace is worse than Brandon Miller was. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, where it's like,
He's gonna be another Kelleher kind of pick. You know, I was saying about Kelleher that I really like him. He's gonna be that kind of pick where everybody's passing. Like sometimes you gotta like somebody like my side, right? A lot of some of GMs look at analytics, but the really great GMs, they combine the analytics with the eye test and the potential.
mhm.
You
No,
saw
I agree.
you saw him working out with this guy, right? Giannis, last summer and you can see the moves, right? And he literally tried those same moves during the game. When he was working, Giannis was like, "You gotta go harder. You gotta go harder." Then now the videos during the season when he tried those moves and it worked for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this draft. I personally think there's a huge drop off from 2 to 3, but it's not in terms of upside. It's in terms of production next year. Like I could see Cooper, like the player that I saw yesterday, I could see him being like an
Cooper,
incredible defender next year. Like
Cooper is different. It's a world
he's
above everybody.
he really is. Like
Hmm.
athletically,
He's
positionally, size, motor, everything, and even
yeah.
that jump shot is coming around now. And I feel
I,
like
I, I'm
Cooper's
not gonna lie
exactly the
to
type of
you.
player that he's gonna thrive at the next level. Ironically, I always have this hypothetical. I always say big wings do better at the NBA level. So that might actually bleed very well into Ace Bailey doing much better at the NBA level. I think the thing that I would be looking at if I was the Raptors and I ended up with the number 3 pick and I had to pick between him, Khaman, VJ, Derek Queen, and Trey Johnson, and this glut of players, is I would be really interested to understand what is his basketball IQ like, and does he see it? What about his off-ball tendencies? I don't love him as an off-ball player. It's the same question I have with Jeremiah Fears. Like, what do you do when you don't have the basketball? You just kind of like you've fallen into
I
that AAU pattern of just kind of like waiting for the
mhm.
ball, waiting for your
I
turn, cook,
agree. I
cook, cook.
agree. I
And
agree.
so it's like with Brandon Ingram already here, you kind of already have that player. If you think about it, like there's a lot of similarities between those two players in terms of like what you think he can be and what Brandon already is, their size, their skill, all that stuff. So it's like on the one hand, who better to learn from? On the other hand, what's your
Exactly.
role? What's your role? You know, like I already think that the Raptors have a lot of work to do with Brandon Ingram to make him better, to make him more efficient next year. His own, if I had to point to like one thing with Brandon Ingram, shot profile and off ball has been terrible forever. Like
Hmm.
he takes a lot of tough twos. He does not cut. He does not move without the basketball very well. Darko is a big proponent for that. So I'm hoping that they're taking this time right now to really teach him the offense. And he's a super smart player. So he's going to pick it up. But it's just he's never really been asked to do this. So I'm looking forward to like the most efficient Brandon Ingram we've ever seen in our lives. Because I know Darko can do this. If anybody can do this, it's Darko, right? He can make him like a 63% true shooting kind of guy because he's that skilled. That being said, it's like you do need development reps for a top 4 pick. Scotty got 33 minutes a night as a rookie. Can Scotty plus Ace Bailey plus Brandon Ingram work together on the court at the same time when you got Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett? Like you're gonna have to shuffle your roster a little bit. And he's definitely not better than RJ Barrett right now. I'll tell you that right now. As a basketball player, he may not be close right now. RJ would smoke that dude. Smoke him. If RJ was right now, this version of RJ Barrett, 24, 25-year-old RJ Barrett was on Rutgers, they'd be fucking Final Four team. So I think there's like a really tremendous like situation here for the Raptors where he might be 2-3 years away. He doesn't serve an immediate need on your team. If he does, it'll have to be a transcendent shift from how he's played basketball, more as a spot up shooter, off ball cutter, transition finisher. That's not his game. That's never been his game. So it's like you want to develop a player to be something that he's not, then just go draft Trey Johnson and just let him do what, like it doesn't make sense to draft Ace Bailey and then the first 3 years of his development, he's being asked to be someone that he's not. Khan Knippel is the perfect blend between all of this because he already does all that shit really well.
He's really good, man. He's really
He is
good.
really, really good. For
Mr.
sure.
Basketball, Wisconsin, and I think Paul George said it best, right? Like he sees his baby like somebody like a few years into the league, be like a 30 point scorer easily
Hmm.
with the way NBA is open, like with the shot making and everything. So even Kevin Durant said it that some of the shots that he take that is very advanced is a very advanced shot take maker. So
Hmm. Yeah. Look over at the private chat. This is so fucking funny. This is crazy. Okay.
and
So
I'm
this,
gonna
so this,
look. I'm
so
gonna look at it, but sometimes when I look at it, when I want to come back, it disconnects me. That's what happened the
uh
last time.
this guy just said, "That wasn't me, man. Man, that's ridiculous. Damn. Trey too low. Can I hop on? Pick Nolan. LOL. That's not fair. It's an invasion of privacy. I won't troll, man. Just give me 2 minutes. Holy, this is ridiculous. This is like per minute, like 111. I'm
I
verifying
saw.
I'm not a robot, though. No, bro, why can't you give me 2 minutes to show you I don't have nefarious intentions? Holy. Okay.
What do you think about resting Scotty Barnes towards the end of the season? I want them to give Jacoby time as a point guard playmaker. Let's try him. Let's try some new things.
I would love
And
that.
yeah,
Jacoby as my lead initiator for the next 9 games would be
yeah,
holy crap. I would love it. It'd be cinema. I, honestly, if I'm running this team, I'll shut down everybody except for
yeah.
Jacoby and
I,
Jonathan Mobo, and then good luck. Good luck to the rest of the league trying to fucking win these games against the Toronto Raptors. But unfortunately, the Raptors are going to continue playing Scotty Barnes. They're going to continue trying to be ethical. And I have a feeling, look, history tells us who people are. The Raptors had no problem shutting down Kyle Lowry in a contract year, mind you, in Tampa. No problem shutting him down. They had no problem, and we can all agree Scotty is not in contention for All NBA. So let's just throw that out. Like, it's not happening. No chance. 0-0. Like, he has if he had a 1% chance right now, his chance is basically half the league dies. Okay, that's what has to happen for Scotty Barnes to make All NBA right now. He's so far off from it right now. He wouldn't make All NBA 15. I'm just being
I,
real. He's my favorite
I,
player, but I'm just being real.
I'm
It's
not gonna make a defensive player of the year. So
right. I mean, I think he's
quick,
been a top 10 defensive player, but
quick question. If he doesn't make it this year, but he makes it next year, does he get the Superman still?
no.
So
No,
just this
it
year.
has to be this year. It had
Oh
to be
wow.
this year, and it sucks for Scotty. But you know
Wow.
what? Evan Mobley might make All NBA, which kind of screws over the Cavaliers, who are already very expensive. And Cade Cunningham is probably a lock for All NBA at this point. I would lock him in second team, third team All NBA. He's making it. So the fact that those two are going to get a super max and Scotty's not, when I would argue Scotty's had a better career so far, or at least on par career. It's just timing. Timing is everything. He never quite made that All NBA jump. Last year, I would say he was on All NBA trajectory, and then the Raptors tore it down. This year, the Raptors have been tearing it down since day one. So, if Scotty makes All NBA next year, no, he doesn't get a supermax for it. But whatever. It kind of helps the Raptors. I'm torn. Like,
Yeah.
I always want guys to get paid. He has given the Raptors incredible value on his contract. He's been like the most
Yeah, but on
per
the flip
dollar
side,
most valuable.
we gotta look at teams like San Antonio Spurs, right? Where a lot of the players sacrifice for the good of the team. Same,
Mm,
and then you look at Denver Nuggets that they can't even get any other player because everybody's making all the supermass and everything.
I'm gonna
So,
be honest,
uh,
FA, there ain't no way in hell I'm gonna put Ted Rogers bank balance over Scotty Barnes bank
no,
balance.
by the end of the day, even if he doesn't make the All NBA and the team starts winning, you're gonna get more endorsement. At the end, you make money the other way, right? So we gotta look at it that way. When the team everybody wins, then they're gonna be on the spot. Imagine if they win the championship, like you can compare what he's gonna make compared to the salary. Jason Tatum doesn't even touch his salary, NBA salary, because he makes a lot more money from endorsements.
Sure. And Scotty makes a ton of money from endorsements too. And if the
Hmm.
Raptors become successful, I can only imagine that those figures will go up. Obviously, big picture here, Scotty's gonna retire probably a billionaire. And if
Hmm.
he plays his cards right, and he's very smart. He's very smart with money. So he's not going to be someone who's going to be, Allen Iverson post-retirement or, anything like that. So that's a good thing. That being said, it kind of does help the Raptors out because they're very, very top heavy. Now, it's very interesting because I was playing 2K and it's sometimes a very useful simulation. And I ended up trading RJ Barrett for Lauri Markkanen. So I traded RJ and some stuff to get Lauri Markkanen. Lauri had a really down year. He's very expensive, huge contract. Jazz looked at the 2K Jazz were looking to move him.
What is the Jazz even doing? Like, seriously?
They're tanking. They're tanking for the next 2 years because their pick is owed. Their pick is owed, so they have to tank.
They're getting all the first round pick. Then eventually they're trading 3 first round pick for 1. Like, come on, Danny Ainge likes to odd picks, and eventually you don't even know what to do with it.
But that 1 pick was a hell of a lot more valuable than the 3 picks.
I know, yeah, but because that one is unprotected.
They traded. So what the Utah Jazz? So they're so smart. They traded 3 quarters for $1. They're smart. And you know what's funny? When I was doing my 2K sim yesterday, I did very similar shit. Very similar shit. I was trading like like a RJ for RJ plus a super protected pick late, but then I would take extra salary on in that deal. So I take the extra salary, then I dump the salary. It's like I'm very Rick Pitino when it comes to trading. Like, I'm very impulsive. Like, I'll just go I'll do like 18 trades in one off season, and just try to every my goal is win each trade. Win each trade. Stack the advantages.
Brian Colangelo trade. He lost to trade.
Brian Colangelo?
Yeah.
What about him?
He loves trading.
BC did like to trade, and credit to him. Sometimes he really cooked on those trades, right? He traded Charlie Villanueva for TJ Ford, and it really worked out for the Raptors initially, but then TJ had the injury, so can't predict that.
My side hates trading, like, jeez.
Yeah, but seems like every time Masai trades, we trade a first round pick to San Antonio, huh?
Yeah, he hurts players too much, keeps players too long.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyways, FA, any final thoughts?
Yeah. Well, May 12th.
May 12th. That is going to be a very nerve-wracking day. As you can see, I did not enjoy watching the Philadelphia 76ers move up to the top 4 in this fake draft. I sit there with fainted breath in NBA 2K. When it happens in real life, I don't even know what I'm going to feel, because it feels like what is on the line for the Raptors moving up this year feels like very much like 2021. Very much like, and in 2021, I was like, please, please, please. But you know what's funny? In 2021, I thought we can get Scotty at 7.
Mm-hmm.
I thought before the draft, he was mocked 8th, 9th, 10th. I was like, we'll get him at 7. I'm not that worried.
But it moved up towards after workout, right? That's why I was like, the workout is going to change. And apart from the workout too, like players like Derek Queen, if he measures like 6'8" or 6'9", the measurement is going to affect a lot of players' ranking. Even this guy, everybody says VJ is like 6'5". I think he's closer to 6'3" than 6'5".
I think you might be right. He looks very small out there. And I was really surprised by that, actually. Very surprised looking at that. And he doesn't have any lead initiator, tendencies. So it's not like, okay, this is Russell Westbrook, he can play the point. He doesn't strike me as a point guard. His handle is not point guard adjacent. His passing is not point guard adjacent. He's just a very athletic 6'4" guard with a limited wingspan. Yeah, I think he could fall. If he measures wrong. He could definitely fall. Anyways, man, peace. It was really good talking to you. Always peace.
All right, take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the game. Okay, we got a few more things to cover here before we get out of here. I realize the Raptors are about to play in 20 minutes. And hang on one second. Let me just pull this up. I'm just going to go through a few things that I talked about on X, because again, I said I would talk about Jace Richardson, and I would talk about a few of those things. So first, let's talk about the coaching change over in Memphis. So to those of you who've been following up, the Memphis Grizzlies lost their lead assistant last year in Darko Rajakovic, obviously, because the Raptors hired him away. And then this offseason, they hired a Finnish coach that some people swear is one of the 5 brightest coaches in the world, and he completely changed how Memphis runs their rotations, how they run their offense, how they run pick and roll, or how much pick and roll that they run. And that is Tuamis Lisalo. And I just thought it was a matter of time before he got poached for a head coaching job. I wonder if people, smart general managers out there looked at it and said, this guy could be my next head coach. I wonder if there was pressure on them to say, if we don't want to lose this 42-year-old wonderkind, we have to elevate him. We have to give him the job that we think he's designed for. So I think maybe that was it, because I don't necessarily think Taylor Jenkins a bad coach. I'm sure that he's gonna be fine, but maybe they just need a new voice. We often assume that every single time somebody gets fired, that it's because they're stupid or they're bad or whatever. Sometimes it's just you need a change of voice, and obviously you don't make a move like this. 9 games left in the season. You don't make that move unless you have the player's blessing, and so unfortunately for Taylor Jenkins, he ends up in the unemployment line. This little video here, definitely, if you are a follower of Pensare Basketball on X, definitely go check this video out. Very cool story about Jace Richardson, 4-star recruit who ended up, he was playing in high school behind Caden and Cameron Boozer, got a little overshadowed in high school playing Columbus High, a team that's based out of Florida. And, I've really liked this game for a while. It's very compact. It's very efficient. He's extremely physical, and he has a chance today to make history because his dad, he made the Final Four for Michigan playing with Tom Izzo, and now he has a chance to do the same thing. I also point out basketball bloodlines are a real thing. His parents are both college basketball players. Obviously, his dad went on to be a 14-year NBA pro, including, a borderline all-star. I won't say like all-star, but a borderline all-star, a borderline, face of the Golden State Warriors at the time, dunk champion, very exciting player Jason Richardson was. But, his youngest son, Jackson Richardson, is a 5-star recruit in the class of 2026, and he's currently mocked as the 7th player in the 2027 NBA draft. So, if the Raptors are terrible in 2027, which they won't be, they'll have a chance at Jackson Richardson. That would be cool. He's a little bit bigger than his older brother Jace, but Jace is very, very good in and of himself. And I think he's just a player that a lot of people maybe overlook because he doesn't have, the gaudy measurables. He's not nearly the vertical explosive athlete that his dad was, but he's a good athlete. He's a decent passer. I think he's a really decent defender. He just does a little bit of everything. And I think, his efficiency and his overall play, Tom Izzo doesn't really like to play freshmen at Michigan State, and the fact that he's been able to carve out a role and basically force a role and then they've been so successful with him on the court, I think he might just play himself into like late lottery contention. So he's good. He's really good. What else are we going to talk about? Yes, I mentioned, Arizona's Henry Visar, the Estonian big. I mentioned it very briefly, and I want to let you know that I did the sim thing yesterday, and I simmed it out for the Raptors, and they moved from 8th to 4th. So they moved 7th to 4th. So I'm just speaking this into existence. Those of you who've been following this channel for a while, you know damn well that I did definitely speak that Scotty Barnes shit into existence. I've, spoken DeMar DeRozan into existence, but there's a few players, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. It did, Kevin Durant to Seattle was another one that I consistently mocked in NBA, but it didn't work out. The one that didn't work out for me that still stings, Carmelo Anthony. When Carmelo Anthony was going on that generational run for Syracuse, I was a very, very big fan. Just so happened the Raptors walked into the 2003 draft with the 3rd best odds at the, number 1 pick. And I thought, for sure, we're going to pick, in this 3-player draft, of course, we're going to get the 3rd pick, and that's going to be Melo. And Melo plus Carter is going to be amazing. It's going to be so cool. And I remember Vince Carter attending that draft lottery as the representative for the Raptors, and his face when the Raptors picked 4th, or when the Raptors got the news that they were the 4th pick, because Memphis had moved up, and Memphis ended up with the 2nd pick, which then transferred as part of the Otis Thorpe trade, ended up transferring over to Detroit. So that was sort of sucky. But for the most part, DeMar DeRozan, Scotty Barnes, it did work out. So yeah, but I will tell you, for most 2K sims that I've done this year, and I've done about 20 just for myself, Khaman was our pick. So if Khaman ends up being our pick, I'll consider this another, feather in my hat in terms of speaking it into existence. I've been talking about Khaman literally the entire way through. I've been speaking about him since last offseason when we interviewed Joe Tuomu. So I think Khaman would be my pick, but I'm fully expecting to be surprised if Khaman and Derek Queen are both on the board. I could see the Raptors leaning Derek Queen because of Darko. But before Darko, there's no way in hell, right? Who do you think they're sending to the lottery this year? I believe that they would send Scotty Barnes. I think they should send Scotty Barnes to the lottery. I think some good luck. And also, there ain't nobody in the world who is going to have a more honest, authentic, viral reaction to winning the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick or moving up to 3 than Scotty. And because he's such a supportive teammate, he also won't have like the worst reaction if we end up moving to 8th or something like that. But I really, really hope that we don't move down to 8th. There was a simulation of this that I did in NBA 2K where the Raptors moved all the way down to 10 and I nearly smashed my screen. So that would suck. Today, the Toronto Raptors take on the Charlotte Hornets, who just found out 4 hours ago, not found out, but reported 4 hours ago, that LaMelo Ball will be missing the remainder of the season, which means, wink, wink, the tank is on. The Raptors are not going to manage to out-tank the Charlotte Hornets in Toronto. It ain't happening. Emmanuel Quickley is playing tonight. Jakob Poeltl is playing tonight. Scotty Barnes is playing tonight. If I recall correctly, I believe that Scotty is playing tonight. So this is an easy, like 100% like loss. Philly, Brooklyn, Utah, Washington, Brooklyn, like all of these teams, Charlotte, they are bottoming out like you wouldn't believe. I'll remain very curious to see what the San Antonio Spurs do the rest of the way. San Antonio did lose last night to a very good opponent by 8 points. I believe they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they look to be like they're still trying to do that. I feel like San Antonio and Toronto are kind of doing the same thing, which is they're like building for next season, trying to build good habits, etc., while pulling some of their big players. But I feel like as long as you keep Scotty Barnes in these games, as long as you keep playing defense the way you're playing, you're not going to out-tank these teams. And I'm a little bit worried. I'm going to be honest. I'm a little bit worried about the Spurs just going on a 9-game losing streak and catching us. Because, yeah, as much of a wink-wink deal as we may have with Khaman and his agency or whatever, it doesn't mean that other teams have to honor that. If I'll let you know right now, if the Washington Wizards fall to 4 and they were looking at Cooper Flag or something like that, and at 4, even if Khaman's agents and Khaman himself say, I don't want to go to Washington, even if he doesn't work out for Washington, even if he doesn't want to go to Washington, all that shit, at the end of the day, if you're an agent and your client can go top 4 and you're pushing him to 8th, you're doing your client a disservice as well, because you're costing him a lot of money. And Khaman is a player who hasn't made as much NIL money as players like Cooper Flag, and obviously, does not come from a lot of money back in South Sudan. So, yeah, like if it comes down to that, if a surprising team moves up to 4, which can easily happen, a team that we're not thinking about, Miami, Chicago, teams like that, it can screw up the draft order so badly. And in that case, not only does that team move up because they leapfrog the Raptors, they, and I mean, don't even rule out the San Antonio Spurs picking Khaman. Like that could totally happen. Khaman plus, Victor Wembanyama, like they could easily see Khaman as the 5 and Victor as the 4. Like they could do that. Like I think Kasparis and Con Knipple are good fits in San Antonio, but that's only depending on how they're thinking about this. I mean, they have a lot of guards. They have Keldon Johnson, as a wing. They're developing Julian Champagny. They've got Stephon Castle. They got De'Aaron Fox. They could be looking at a big man. They could be looking at Khaman, and Khaman totally fits the mold of the type of player they could look at. And so you really, I hate to say it because I'm obviously like I'm pro Khaman and I'm pro his agency and I'm pro his trainer and I'm pro everything, but you really, really hope that Khaman does not have a breakout game somewhere between now and the Final 4, Because if he does, I think it's going to put a lot of people on that. Oh my God, is this Joel Embiid? And don't even underestimate how much being around him is going to change people's perspective on him. Because when he walks into your gym and you see that he's a legit 7'2", and you see him dunking in an open gym, and you do the measurables and he measures out with a 7'7" wingspan, and you see how this kid moves, you might actually see someone actually looking at him as a third pick. So I really, I'm sitting here praying that the Raptors get Khaman, but I'm also acknowledging that moving up to 4 might be the best bet to actually get him. I'll talk to y'all later. I want to remind you that tonight's post game is delayed by quite a bit because I will be on playback starting at 8 o'clock. I'll have to watch the Raptors game on tape delay and then do the post game after. I can tell you right now they're going to win. I'm pretty sure they're going to win. If they lose, I'll be so happy, but I don't see that happening. Jay Powell with a super chat here saying the Sixers are obsessed with centers. They worry me. I agree with you, but they've picked guard a few times now, right? Yeah, but you know what? What FA said makes sense with Joel Embiid's, potential history. The Sixers used to be obsessed with centers with Sam Hinkie. He went Nerlens Noel, Jahlil Okafor, and Joel Embiid. But this is completely different leadership. But yes. Yakazo0 saying, yo, Pen, it's been me trolling this whole time, not playback, just YouTube in the last 24 hours. Is there any way I can formally apologize? Zal123, yo, Pen, it's been me trolling this whole time, not playback, just YouTube the last 24 hours. Is there any way I can formally apologize? Okay. Let me I'm going to say something real quick because I had a bit of a crash out, not a crash out, but like let's call it a bad episode on PC yesterday. And not because I believe that I was wrong in anything that I said about LeBron and Jordan and Stephen A. Smith and all that stuff, but just in terms of my reaction to the chat. I want to say something to you. Come look at me. Look at me. Look at me in the fucking eye. You see me? Is there any way you can formally apologize to me? Fuck yourself. Okay? Fuck yourself up your ass. I don't fucking care about your apology. You can go fuck yourself. I can see an insincere apology from 10 miles away. You're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling me. Grow the fuck up. Number one. Number two, I want to be very clear about something. I, have had my ups and downs with the chat. I have. I really have. You getting banned, bro. Your trolling is, it is what it is. Here's the thing. I spent a lot of time yesterday kind of reading the PC chat following, the Thursday episode yesterday on the panel in which, I alluded to the fact that LeBron James coded a lot of his messages. And it's very interesting to see that Charles Barkley, Stephen A. Smith, and a lot of very coherent people have had a very similar reaction to LeBron's comments that they felt that he was a bully. Jordan had a very similar reaction saying, don't throw, this is getting a little bit messy. And so I want to say that, yes, I am on the spectrum. Yes, I do have autism. In terms of, Asperger's, I do have Asperger's. But I also want to say that, to anyone who does have Asperger's or anyone who's been called TISM or anything like that, it's not a weakness. It's just a different way to see the world. It's like it's like wandering through the world with red goggles. You know what I mean? Like you just see everything a little bit differently. Sometimes it feels like you're walking through the world with X-ray vision. I do see things a little bit differently, but I'll remind you that to anybody out there who's ever used the TISM stuff or the, called someone the R word or called someone slow or said they took the short bus or, said they wore 10 helmet to they were a helmet kid or any one of these, derogatory statements or whatever. I want to remind you that you as a, what was it, neurotypical, you're neurotypical to the people in the PC chat, to those of you who end up watching this, you're a neurotypical, right? You're blessed with a mind that, according to you works correctly. And I am apparently afflicted with this, terrible thing. Well, I'll remind you that I Both my parents were dead before the age of 21. I went through homelessness at the age of 13. I went through a significant amount of child abuse as, a kid growing up. I went through not every, but a lot of, let's call it impoverishment and disadvantages. Saw a lot of things that probably no kid should ever see before the age of 13. I had a family that was not present for me. I had parents who divorced. So basically, you go down the checklist of gonna be a freaking criminal. I hit a lot of those check marks, and despite that, I made the honor roll in high school. I got a scholarship to one of the top 25 universities in the world. I maintained a 3.7 to 3.9 GPA throughout my time. I ended up with a degree at that university and have thrived in 3 careers. So if I did that as a helmet kid, what the fuck are you doing with your life as a neurotypical? That's what I'll say. That's what I'll say. And I'll never listen to anybody who's going to try to tell me that because I view something a little bit differently. On Tuesday or Monday, I was on Player's Choice and I talked about Fred VanVleet's incredible basketball IQ defensively. And I put it in the same conversation as, Hakeem Olajuwon. And I said, I think Fred's smarter. And a lot of people had an issue with that because they just couldn't comprehend that. So, maybe I'm not slow. Maybe you're slow. That's what I would say to the PC chat and to all the people who are planning, at 8 o'clock when we're on the main stage to come out there and be like, Pen's so stupid, Pen's so this. I want to say something, to those people as well, because I know there will be a lot of them and there will be a lot of trolls and there will be a lot of insults and all that stuff. I don't care. Say what you got to say. I will never sit there and write derogatory shit in a chat and follow some content creator that I absolutely hate. I'll never do that. I'm never going to call into a show like 3 times like a massive moron and try to change my voice and put on fake accents and say love you, bro. I'm not going to do that because time is precious. We all have 24 hours in a day. You and the CEO of Apple all have 24 hours. I have 24 hours. You have 24 hours. You waste 2 of those hours trolling a content creator that you don't respect, that you don't like, whose takes you don't agree with. You're a loser. That's what it is. You're a loser. You're a hater. You're a loser. Nobody productive has ever spent 2 hours trying to tear somebody else down who's trying their best, and at the end of the day, we can disagree on basketball stuff. We totally disagree. We can disagree about Cade versus Scotty. We can disagree about, Fred's defensive basketball IQ. We can agree about, agree or disagree about Fred's defensive acumen or his leadership or, what's a fair contract or what's not a fair contract. But keep it to basketball. Keep it to basketball. Keep it 100% to basketball, because me not agreeing with you about what LeBron said or me seeing something different might be a matter of me having read books that you haven't read, or you not having done research that I've clearly done. We all see the world through a different vantage point, through a different lens. I have done a lot of research into psychology, neuroscience, and how people speak. I think there's a lot of messaging behind how LeBron speaks, and I'm not a LeBron hater. Not a LeBron hater at all. So this idea that in sports world, if you say one negative thing about RJ Barrett, you're an RJ hater. You say one negative thing. When someone says Scotty's having a really rough year from 3, the dumbest thing you can ever say to that person is you're a Scotty hater. Scotty is having a tough year from 3. Acknowledge it. Move the hell on. Agree to disagree. The Raptors are starting the game right now. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great one. And again, tonight's post game is delayed. I'll do my best to watch the game as quickly as I can, make my notes, make my observations, and hopefully we can have a really good live around 11:30 to 12 o'clock at night tonight. Okay. Talk to y'all later. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the rest of March Madness. Peace.